speaking of dick moves, what a fantastic segue. Andew Bayly. Oh, could there be more of a dick move in New Zealand at the moment?
This was amazing.
Yeah. Let's get the latest story tonight, because the Prime Minister has been challenged over it in his stand-up today. Let's see where we're at right now.
Christopher Luxon is standing by his man going into bat for
Stand by your man.
under fire Small Business Minister Andew Bayly in the face of calls from the opposition to strip him of his portfolios. Senior political correspondent Jenna Lynch joins us now. And Jenna, is Luxon likely to change his mind?
Yeah, just to recap for our viewers this story. So late on Friday afternoon, it was revealed that a worker from a business that Bayly had visited as Small Business Minister laid a complaint that Bayly had sworn at him, called him a loser repeatedly, and taunted him by making an L sign on his forehead with his finger and thumb at that business visit. Now, Andew Bayly has apologised for the behaviour, but in the series of events, the first...
I bet you anything you like, he got the L the wrong way around. And how some people go, oh, loser, and they put it up when the L looks like to them the right way. So I bet you he put it up there, and yeah, so he probably called him a J actually rather than an L, would be my guess.
The apology was only made to the business that the worker worked at through an email that was sent that was basically a thank you email for hosting him. It wasn't until that worker got back in contact with Bayly and other politicians, including the Prime Minister and members of opposition parties, that Bayly apologised to the worker himself. Now, Chris Hipkins is saying that that is not good enough, and that Christopher Luxon is not applying the same ministerial standard to his ministers as he demanded of Chris Hipkins when he was the Prime Minister.
Oh, Christopher Hipkins, does that mean you're holding this government to the same level that they held you guys to? No, I've heard that somewhere before, Chewy. That standard of accountability. I wonder where I've heard that before.
And Luxon was in opposition.
I mean, I think clearly Andew Bayly well and truly overstepped the mark here, and as a result I think there should be some sanction for him, and removal from some of his portfolios would be an appropriate sanction, if not removal altogether.
When the issue was raised with him, he genuinely was mortified by that. He reached out immediately, apologised to the individual concerned. He subsequently apologised again to the individual concerned, apologised to me and reassured me it won't happen again. That to me says that he understands the gravity and the seriousness of not meeting those expectations that I have of ministers.
Now, the government will have been hoping that because this story broke late on a Friday afternoon, that perhaps it will have died or run its course over the weekend. But there is a complication in that Andew Bayly doesn't agree with the workers' version of events, but he still hasn't offered up his own version of events of what went down that day at the business. So still plenty more questions for Andew Bayly to answer before this saga comes to an end.
Right, so let's just have a look at this footage. This is from last night's news, when they're kind of explaining, and they're trying to give Bayly the opportunity to actually explain what happens, and he won't.
He called me a loser repeatedly, saying the reason I was still at work was because I am a loser. He turned to the group of people with him at the time, including my boss, and formed an L with his fingers on his forehead.
Did you call him a loser?
Look, there are issues with, obviously people have different perceptions about what went on.
That's not a strong answer.
That's not a no. It's not a no, I didn't say that.
You're in Luxon's office going, oh, for God's sake, answer the question.
Obviously people have different perceptions about what went on, but I don't want...
I like this. No. Different perceptions. He said I held an L up. It was actually a J. If you look really carefully, it was a J. It was not an L. Certainly wasn't that.
He was a worker, not the owner, so it was this.
Different perceptions about what went on, but I don't want to get into who said what or what.
The man says the minister and others left, but then Bayly returned twice, insisting the worker come and have a drink. He refused.
I did not have any intent to say to him anything that was offensive, but obviously he's come to that view, and for that reason I've unreservedly apologised.
The staff member claimed...
But not explaining what he's apologising for. So he's apologised, but he refused to explain to the media exactly what he's apologising for, Chewy. It just gets worse for these guys.
It's one of the best with the best apologies. It shows true reflection on what happened. What a bizarre story. What an absolutely bizarre story. Now, the only place that I can get to with this is that he was trying to be jokey, but for a joke to work, both parties need to understand that it's a joke.
Yeah.
And it's just when you write it down, that does not sound good at all. And then he's come back a couple of times to try and salvage something that he realizes has gone very badly for him.
Yeah.
And it's just made it worse. What the fuck?
I've got one other part that I want to add to this. It's a bit of fun. You ready? You may not have heard of this guy before. He kind of resembles a mound of melting pancake batter. He's a dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now on Friday,
to fabricate. For fuck's sake, this man.
On
Jesus.
Friday, hang on. There's a interesting perspective here. On Friday, the more I read, the more clear it becomes that Andew Bayly's story is a fabricated beat-up put together by an activist worker, opposition political operatives, and the biased mainstream media. And when I saw that come across my Twitter feed, I went, I wonder if anything about that opinion has anything to do with this story about Sean Plunkett that came out, a year ago? A bit more than a year ago? Because it feels like if you are the kind of person that berates your staff and slams your hands on the desk, then maybe you'd think calling someone a loser is not that big a deal. Just to remind people, employee alleges broadcaster Sean Plunkett yelled at her punched desk. An editor at the new media startup The Platform says she was yelled and sworn at by founder Sean Plunkett before he punched a desk standing just a metre in front of her. But while Plunkett largely accepts what he described as appalling behaviour, he rejects the personal grievance claim lodged by digital engagement editor and everybody's best friend, Annie O'Brien, who says she feels the workplace is too unsafe to return to and lacks sound dispute resolution processes. Both Plunkett and O'Brien gave evidence before the Employment Relations Authority on Thursday and Friday. In Wellington on Thursday and Friday. The full picture of the claim isn't yet clear, with a 2-day hearing, listening to testimony only. Submissions from both sides are to be made at a later hearing. I just thought when I saw someone thinking that, berating, abusing, even if you think it's jokey, a worker at a business that you're visiting might be defended by someone who thinks that berating and swearing at a staff member themselves is an acceptable way to operate. Just some thoughts there, Chewy.
Isn't it just something that seems to be quite prevalent in a certain generation? I am still to this day shocked that Sean Plunkett would bully a woman. It seems very out of character for him. As far as this Bayly guy goes, look, I think, there's so many lessons. You're a government minister, man. Just be careful with what you say and who you say it to. Yeah. Like, your government has a reputation of not giving a shit about the workers. Maybe you want to be nice to the workers.
Yeah.
Especially one that's stayed behind. Why would you even attempt a joke?
And what's coming up on
the guy?
What's coming up on Wednesday? The idea of this day of action is coming up on Wednesday, and this has just happened. It's like just no clue.
And then the other aspect of it is there should be a class that all politicians need to attend of, like, okay, point out on this chart what an apology is. Because so many of them are terrible at it. There's so many of them are like, I'm sorry you were offended, not I'm sorry for my actions and I understand what they were. And then the other aspect of it is, yes, Christopher Luxon is terrible at this.
Yeah.
He is absolutely terrible. He he claims to be the big decisive man of action, the boss man that's in control of everything. He's across nothing. He has no decisive action for this. He came to a press stand up with no real good talking points about it. He hadn't even fucking had a chat to someone about it. It was ridiculous. It might be a political beat up, but these guys should be better at fielding it. This is a pretty basic unforced error of don't be a dick to someone who might not like you. Like, he could have just gone through this walkthrough for this business and not said anything to anybody but the boss. He would have been fine.
Yeah. I mean, it does come across, you know, like, I don't know anything about this guy, Andew Bayly, but you do get those kind of vibes of the kid at school who wanted to impress everybody and be the cool kid, even though they didn't fit that block. It's like the vibe you get off David Seymour. You know, like they were the most hated kid in school, but they tried to do cool things and they turned around to look if anyone laughed at the cool thing they just said. And it feels a bit like that, you know. They're going to try. I mean, I don't know what the place was, but I'm with the workers, and all know the workers all say fucking shit and piss all the time, and they all call each other losers. So I'll just be one of them. What? Nobody's laughing? Hang on. What have I got wrong here?